education is just key to the foundation of growth. And of course, it is the key to the foundation of a community.
Thank you, Sister Cassieopia, for taking time out of your busy schedule to sit down with the Collective 9. Your perspective, of course, is definitely valuable. But for those who don't know, which I guess they just not in the know. Can you tell us a little bit about who Cassieopia Uhru is?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor. I love this. My name again is Cassieopia Uhru of theblackmall.com, which is an online directory of Black-owned businesses nationwide. It is also an e-commerce site for Black products, Black-made, Black-produced, Black-manufactured products. So we're kind of like an Amazon for Black-owned businesses. Absolutely.
So pretty soon we'll be saying that Amazon is a Black mall for everybody else.
Right.
So of course we know that entrepreneurship is very important to you.
Mm-hmm.
And just something that I really have begun to take a lot more serious and have become like a lot really disappointed because I realized going through college, several years of college, that I realized I really didn't understand money as I thought that I did. And becoming an entrepreneur is not something that happens by just happenstance. And your environment and what you know and your educational experience, in many instances your informal educational experience, has an impact on you really pursuing entrepreneurship or business, because schools typically don't, even in business schools.
Right.
So can you just really want you to talk on one of the big focuses of the Collective 9 is really focusing on a new educational paradigm and the value and importance of education, not what we consider education now, but it really should empower you to do something. So just from your perspective, what is the value and importance of education, and particularly as it relates to our people?
Education starts at birth. As soon as you're coming out of the womb, right? Your mom, your dad are teaching you mama, dada, baba. There's this continual process that's always happening. You're learning also through experience, through watching, through mimicking. So education is a major aspect of our lives that we just can't go without. Sometimes we're taught without even knowing that we're being taught, right? So somebody asked us a few weeks ago, what is the business of the Black Mall? If you're kind of familiar with McDonald's, when it really boils down to it, as we know it today, it's not in the business of making hamburgers. It's in the business of owning property, right? Land, so real estate. So someone asked us, what is the Black Mall's business? Sure, the products are a result of the business, but what is this real business? And we really kind of, got that all together, and it is education. It's awareness. The way that people started to buying Black, the way we were able to influence more people to improve their businesses and influence others to start businesses is through education. Every time I'm posting a video about a new Black-owned business, that's an education piece. Because now, something that you didn't know existed, you now know it exists. You now can do better. You now have the option and opportunity to be able to now go to this particular business that's going to be able to put back into your community, as opposed to some other business that only takes from our community. So education is just key to the foundation of growth. And of course, it is the key to the foundation of a community. And definitely, if you're going to learn entrepreneurship or business ownership by actually shadowing someone, interning with them, or going, to a school to what some people call a formal education, you still have to gain knowledge in some type of way. And of course, you want to gain it from those who are doing it already and do it well.
Right. And, it's interesting because when you look at many of the places that are teaching business, the business professors, many of them have never had a business.
Right. I don't understand.
So what is the biggest influence of you becoming and what you know as an entrepreneur? Where would you say that comes from?
My mother.
Okay.
So my mother used to be a Black Panther. She used to be a part of something called NBUF here in Chicago, which some of the same people who are part of Buffy, Black United Fund of Illinois, were also part of NBUF, which is the National Black United Front. And they were a group, that was about Black empowerment, Black development, Black economics. And so my mother, I remember growing up, was called like the black sheep of the family because she was always arguing with everybody about, our education, our self-awareness, our knowledge of our history, our heritage, our culture. And that's something that she constantly spoke on with no problems, didn't care if you believed it or if you liked it or not. She was going to state that particular case. And then, of course, when you have something from your parents, sometimes, you don't catch on to it until it's then coupled or reignited by someone else somewhere, right? But she gave me that foundation. So when they came with what I looked upon as validation, it was like, boom. And I got that in college. You go and you join Black Student Union and, you go into the different poetry for, I think, Black people is a lot of times a gateway to Black empowerment. A lot of the poetry, though, the major poets, spoken word artists, that's what most of their narrative is around African-centered thought, culture, heritage, revolutionary thought, empowerment. And so going to those poetry sets, being a part of, coalition of Black students, and then starting to read The Missing Education of the Negro, right? We talk about, education. Those things really ignited it. My partner, me and him, started the Black Mall because of it. He, same way, had someone in his family that, gave that foundation, his Uncle Juan, and then it was validated at school when he took a African American Studies class in Florida State University. So
okay. So you mentioned you didn't really go into it, and maybe that's for a reason. That other entity that kind of validated what your mom had already built. That what was that?
Well, that was the poetry sets.
Okay, the poetry
that
sets.
was going to the taking those classes. It was just like, oh wow, my mom's been talking about this since I was a baby. Okay, and of course when you see other people and they kind of they make their Black empowerment look fly, and they're usually people with big personalities. We're attracted to those type of things. And you're like, oh wow, you are saying the same thing that my mom was saying. Okay. And then it ignites something in you. And then for whatever reason, I never had an interest. Naturally didn't have an interest in working for anyone else. Now, there's one aspect of this I regret, that I never took on an internship because I was so minded. Like, no, I'm not working for anybody. And in my head at that time, and it's where your education question comes in, no one told me that I can also go and get an internship just so I can learn the ropes to be able to start my own. Okay. That was never stated explicitly. It was like, you go into business and you go and get an internship and you go work for corporate so that you can climb their ladder. Right. And I never wanted that naturally. So I never took an internship because it was like, no, that's not what I want. I really was just going to school so I can get all of the nuggets that I needed to have my own business. So I studied marketing. Okay. That's cool.
Okay. So just looking back in retrospect, of course, there's something that you mentioned, the internship. How long have you been in business?
I've now been in business. Oh my goodness. I started my first business actually while in college in 1999. I started another one in 2005. So I've had businesses now for almost 20 years, right? So since I was a teenager. But I've had my the business that I actually really incorporated and went the long haul with. The first one was Soul Designs, my graphic design company. So that's now 2010. So no, 2000. So 17 years old. And then the Black Mall will be 6 years in November.
Cool. So